Welcome to the Honey and Harry Show. I'm Honey,
I'm Harry.
and today we're going to be talking about childhood memories. It'll be fun today, because especially with Christmas coming up, and got my Christmas skirt on. I got to show everybody real quick.
Oh, yeah, she's ready.
Look at my skirt. I know makes me look fat, but I'm really not that fat. But anyways,
Yeah, so we had a guest scheduled for this week, and it didn't work out. They couldn't make it, so we were trying to think about, well, what would we do instead? So I'm often just thinking of ideas. I know Honey is too, trying to think of a guest, but we want to have some shows where we share our ideas and thoughts and other things with you. And so I was thinking about something. It just popped into my head. Didn't sometime back I made a list of things I could remember from my early childhood. And so I went hunting in this bookcase behind me, and I couldn't find it. I thought it was on the bookcase somewhere. So I looked for it. I didn't see it. And then I came into my mind that it was maybe down the hall. So I went and checked in the other bookcase, and sure enough, in that bookcase was
oh my gosh,
two pieces of paper torn out of a notebook where I had written down, at least one afternoon I had just remembered some of these things. I wrote them down. I said, let me write down some memories from my childhood. So when I looked at the date from when I did this, it was 23 years ago. So I'm going like, whoa. 23 years ago is when I did this. So it's a long time in the making, but it finally made it to an episode. So I think that's kind of interesting. So we're going to walk through initially here just some of the things that we remembered from our early childhood and what they maybe mean to us now, and some other thoughts about early memories. So, Honey, you want to share some of yours?
So the earliest memory that, like, when I started jogging my memory, like, what's the first thing I remember? And the thing I came up was Matt. I don't know if it was when we brought Matt home. I don't know if it was just a memory, but me walking, holding Mom's leg, walking into the house, and her carrying Matt, and Stormy, my next door neighbor. We didn't have a fence.
Right.
And her standing there asking me if I wanted to come play, and I was like, no.
No, I got something better to do.
Yeah, I have a new brother. I'm gonna go check this person out. I want to see what this is all about.
Right.
Probably a little nervous that I had a brother, because it was just, you and Mom
Right.
and me, and then we added another person. So that was my earliest memory, and I'm thinking I must have been 3.5?
Yeah, you're 3 years different, so it was somewhere in that
probably
range.
3.
So 3.5 is when it had to be.
Yeah, because that's real. So that was my earliest memory. I have so many memories.
I had an early one, but I'm not 100% sure that it's a real memory or not. Okay, I mean, it is a real memory, but we have a picture, I think, in one of the family albums that is related to this first memory. So maybe I'm remembering from seeing the picture, and I'm not really remembering the first memory. But I remember
Yes.
being in a little swing. It was like a child's swing with the four legs and a little swing like this, and it was like a little tent that went over it to keep you from the sun and stuff like that. So I have that memory, but it could be that I saw a picture, and that's helping me think that I had that memory, and that had to be something, 2.5, 3.5, something
That's so
along those
young.
lines, like that. I did some looking up about early memories, and there was a paper out there that I found. It's from about 10 years ago or so forth. A Dr. Peterson, and Dr. Peterson did like a meta study of people who had looked up what earliest memories were. And apparently the consensus was that those memories, most people were from like about the age of 3.5. But Dr.
Wow.
Peterson's study suggested that maybe it goes back a little bit further than that, and maybe as far back as 2.5.
That's crazy.
Of course, I don't have dates on when these memories occurred, so I really don't know. But in her study, she found out that there were a lot of things that seemed to have an effect on what your earliest memory might be. And
Mm.
one of them was how you tried to elicit these memories from the people. So if you had them just go off and sit in a corner and write down memories for 5 minutes on a piece of paper, that was different from having an interview with somebody. And so she was able to elicit memories even earlier.
That's crazy. Yeah, 2.5. I don't have any. I've heard plenty of stories, but I don't have any like
Right,
you and mom
right.
moving from Maryland or whatever y'all did. And
So what other memories do you have
oh,
before you started school?
so okay, that's the weird thing. So my memory, that was that memory. And then I think my memories start like preschool.
Okay, preschool.
I
All right.
think preschool it started. I remember being at preschool. Went to I think it was Southside
Yep,
Baptist.
yep,
I
Southside
went.
Baptist.
I think I remember swinging really, really high, waiting for my mom to come pick me up in the carpool line. I remember painting on the big, huge easel they would have outside, and that was my thing. I love painting. Still love painting. Um, so then that preschool, and then it kind of went towards kindergarten, where I remember, but it wasn't really anything at home so much.
Okay.
I think because I had such a big change,
Yes.
maybe.
Right.
I mean, I remember waiting for the bus for St. Aloysius, sitting on, the bricks outside, waiting with mom and Matt and being sad because Matt got to stay home with
Right,
mom.
right.
But that was really my earliest. Now, I know my friend we remember this all the time. We crack up about it. Stormy spent the night at my house one time and she was in kindergarten. And I was probably in preschool. And she spent the night at my house in this room. And I had a baton and got up and was dancing around the room. And she had to get up in the morning. And I was just aggravating the crud out of her. She
Right, right.
remembers. I know she'll remember that if she's watching. But yeah, so that's another one of my younger. You're just playing in the neighborhood with the friends. I remember, but I do remember certain specifics. But going back to like, if you don't like a picture or like we were talking earlier, what you think you remember
Right,
and
right.
what you actually remember. I was telling Dad that I saw Santa out that window, and I still remember seeing Santa out that window.
That's a memory that stuck with you.
Yes, very creative memory.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's good memory. A positive one,
It
right?
was a positive. My plan every year was to wait up and move,
Yeah,
sneak in his
see if you can
bag.
catch him again. Right,
Well,
exactly.
well, no, leave y'all.
Wait, what's that about now?
I was leaving and going to the North Pole.
Oh,
Who
okay,
wouldn't
all
want
right,
to?
all
Who
right.
wouldn't want to go live in the
Which
Toyland?
seemed much more entertaining, yeah.
Absolutely, I was leaving y'all for
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I have some other early memories, but I don't know when they were from, but
Mhm.
I remember knocking my mother's glasses off one time and
Oh wow.
breaking them, and my mother was just blind as a bat without her glasses. So, that made it something worth remembering. And then
Oh, you
here,
did that on purpose,
no,
or?
no, no, no. I was probably 3 or
Oh,
something
you were
like that.
little.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was probably still little. Uh, but an interesting memory that I had was, and I told my mother this, and it kind of upset her at first.
Oh no.
Okay, and that was that I told her a good thing. I said I I had a memory come to me in the last week or so about you holding me and comforting me when I was in distress or when I had hurt myself or something like that. And and uh, and I offered this additional information, and I don't think I ever had a memory of you holding me before that. And she was like,
Oh
"Well, I held you a lot."
no. Because you were the first baby, so she
Yeah, first
did.
first one along, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you definitely
So,
had your time of being
so
held.
that was an early memory too.
Yeah.
Uh, Another one I had was, and this one stuck with me. Emphasis on the word "stuck." I was probably 3.5, or I don't think I was 4, but probably 3.5 or something like that. And I'm riding my tricycle in the backyard, and the yard's a little bit uneven, and tricycles are unstable to begin with. And so I fell into the garden right into the cactus bush.
A cactus
Yeah.
bush.
So I've got
Oh.
my little behind and legs and
Oh,
everything
well,
full of cactus
that
stickers.
was tragic.
You would remember that,
Yeah, you're gonna remember
Of
that.
course, you don't remember the pain anymore, but you remember the event. And I can distinctly remember being laying down face down on my bed, and my mother and her aunt with tweezers pulling the cactus
Oh
barbs out
my
of me.
God.
So, but we really we don't tend to remember the pain part of that. We just remember
No.
it as, wow, that must have been something. But
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, those are so some of my memories though, I think I can't I see, and that's the thing, I don't know my age when I start remembering things.
right, right.
Um I remember, I mean, I had to be older because I used to ride my bike to the pool all the time. Love that. But I do remember like my Aunt Vicky's house. Oh my gosh. She had a black toilet and
Wow,
she's
that's
gonna die.
unusual.
She had a black toilet in her house. They had a two-story house and I loved it so much. And I was little because they moved to Baton Rouge. They moved out of that house. And that's when they lived in New Orleans. But anyways, I just remember going to that house and always just hanging out in that bathroom. It's
Yeah.
so weird. Like kids are so weird. I remember that specifically. I remember, like I was telling you, on the bus with that jacket mom got me,
Right.
and I couldn't move. Certain little things like that I remember. But I think more of my memories are few in second grade, maybe. I remember there was a little girl that had a lip gloss I wanted, a cookie lip gloss. And I was so sad because I never got it.
Yeah, I talk about these memories that I think I had and stuff like that, and I may have actually had them, but a lot of people think that if we remember something, every time we remember an event, we alter the memory a little bit, and it's just a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
That's what some of them say. In fact, there's this paper by Bridge and Paller that I looked up, and it talks about uh, when you re-remember stuff, you get it, you change it at least. Okay, and they did a study where they trained the people in this study. They trained them on 180 images, and uh, and the images were located on a certain part of a screen, like on a computer screen. And so what they did, they practiced all day on that until they really knew where the images was going to show up on the screen. And then they started giving them a little quiz about, well, where is this image supposed to be? It would show up in the center, and they would have to move it to wherever it was supposed to be. Then they came back the next day, and they went over a subset of that. They went, not all of them, but some of those, and they put the image in the middle of the screen. They were supposed to put it where it was supposed to be. And then on the third day, they came back again and tested them on the images. And it turns out that the third day, they remembered the wrong answer from the second day. So in other words, their answer, they remembered how they recalled it on the second
So
day.
your memories may not be right.
Yeah, so it's saying that maybe we do tend to distort some of that. So and their suggestion is that every time you remember something, you remember the last time you remembered it, as opposed to
You're
the way
right.
it really was. So I don't know if they're doing this with images, and so it's kind of a kludgy test, but it does show something.
Yeah, and I know, like, sometimes when my brother and I will be talking and we'll be like, "Oh my god, remember this, remember that?" And I'll remember something that he didn't remember, or he'll remember something that I didn't remember, or he'll say, "Huh, Laurie, I don't remember it going like that."
Right. That's not my memory. Huh?
I know. I'm like, "What? Well, what did I do?" But definitely, Papa used to play Santa every year. Oh, dress up as Santa. He didn't. He wasn't the real Santa, but
Right.
my Papa would, because there is a real Santa. But Papa would dress up as Santa, and I just love that. And I do remember. I don't remember
any details.
No,
No,
I
right.
just remember Santa Claus coming to the house, and I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Sure. Right.
And Dill Stormy next door told me it was him. It was Papa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember that. I remember riding in his bullet carpet truck. He was my grandfather laid carpet for a living. And, one of my other grandfather worked at the Superdome. And I
Yes.
remember, I don't know if we were coming from Baton Rouge. I think we were one time. Mom rode in the bullet truck with us one time. I
Well,
wanna say.
that's possible. That's
Is
possible.
that possible?
Yeah.
And I remember it was a metal floor, and I remember no car seats now.
No, no seatbelts, no car seats.
And I remember sitting on a roll of carpet, like just sitting on it, like one of the rolls, just sitting, like I'm riding a horse, riding that
Right.
carpet on the and just rolling around. And like if he took a quick turn, we were falling.
Right. Right.
So those are some things I remember. I remember brushing my Aunt Patricia's hair. Loved, she had long, long, long hair, and she gave us a piggyback ride. Remember that to get
Yep.
into the
Yep.
car? Remember staying at Uncle Steve and Aunt Susan's house all the time. I mean, there's just so many different memories.
Right. Right. Uh, I was trying to think of some memories that left that hinted at something in the future, or that left a legacy with me, or something like that. And so I'm remembering
Mhm.
that memory about my mother consoling me.
Yes.
That obviously left me with a feeling of, that I was loved when I was a child. So
Absolutely.
so that has a lasting effect. And then there's here's another one. I don't know if my brother remembers all of this. He probably does, though. But I used to experiment with my brother's toys. Okay, we were Irish twins, so for 5 days a year we had the same age, and so often we would get the same gifts for birthdays or Christmas or something like that, and I would experiment with with my
Of course
brother's
you
version of
would.
it. I remember one particular adventure where we each got a little airplane of some kind, and I said, "Let me see how this flies." And I took my brother's and I threw it and it went up on top of the shed,
Oh, God.
which was irretrievably high, I believe. So I think mine was passed on to him after that, but I don't remember that for sure. I'm not really
You would hope
positive about
so.
that. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but that memory thought of, we remember something. We might not be remembering our right memory. We might be remembering some of the last time we remembered it.
Mhm.
Uh, I think that's different for memories that are really emotional. Things where it really, was, something striking, like you remembering your brother coming home for the first time,
Yeah, I
that kind of
remember
thing.
that. That was a
Yeah.
big thing.
And so I have some of those over the years too, where they were that memories that you would really really remember. My siblings will remember this. When we were little, you would grow up, and if it was your birthday, you get to have the meal that you want
Exactly.
fixed, and we still carry on that tradition
Yep.
too. So that's a very a big memory and so forth. I have a very strong memory of. I even think I can remember doing it, and that was I ate a bottle of baby aspirins. Now, baby aspirins are like a quarter of what a regular aspirin is, but if you eat a bottle of them,
You had a whole
you've got a
bottle?
lot of aspirins in there.
Oh my
And
God.
so they hauled me off to the hospital and did a fluoroscope and then a stomach pump and all this other stuff. And I still have what I think are uh, no pain. I don't remember any of that,
Oh, thank God.
but I do remember, it being in a dark room because they were fluoroscoping me and stuff like that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
remember the experience, so some things that are emotional tend to stay with you. There's a study that Jacobs and others did, and it's too complicated for me to really understand. But the essence of the study was that they did actually intracranial electroencephalograph work. So they were actually inside the skull,
Oh,
and
wow.
they would evoke reactions from people using words. And if the word was like dog or knife, those were more emotional words than chair or something like
Well,
that.
yeah.
So, because
You have
people have emotions with dogs and people connect
there's a
things
connection.
with knives.
Yes.
So it's like there is some explanation for why we and they contend that there's actual pathways and neurochemistry that solidifies emotional memories better than the ones that don't really mean anything too much. So
Yeah,
I thought that was
absolutely.
pretty interesting.
That is
I don't
interesting.
understand the neuroscience, but it makes sense, doesn't it?
No, it does make sense. It's weird because, when Lindsay got sick, Pearl remembers, and she was
Yeah.
only 2.
And she was very young,
She was 2,
very young.
but it was tragic.
Yes.
Some of the things, she just remembers the hair.
It was an emotional memory.
So that was an emotional memory. Just like I remember breaking my arm. I remember the car ride. I remember more about that than probably anything else because I was going through a trauma when I broke my wrist or whatever I did. So yeah, and that
definitely an emotional memory.
yeah, because I was probably the first time I had ever been to a hospital.
Right.
It was scary. I never had that much pain. So there was that, like you said, like your stomach getting pumped.
Yeah, right.
I
Don't remember
know.
the pain, but I do remember the
my-
event.
Yeah, I shouldn't say, but I just remember being in pain. I don't remember what it felt like, but I remember being in pain.
Yeah.
So,
It's cool. You can actually, we remember a lot of events from our past that really entertain us now, and they're funny when we remember
oh
it.
my gosh.
What are some like that for you?
So my mom would tell us never to take these little. We had a swing set, and she said, "Don't take the white things
The
off
caps
swing,
off
the
the
caps
end.
off the end." I'm like, whatever. So I took them off, because I could yell at my friend on the other side. We'd stand up there and
Right.
yell. Well, one day, and it's good for me. I got up there to go yell at my friend. There was a huge wasp's nest in my face. So of course I remember it was hilarious. It's funny now that you think on
Now
it.
it's funny,
Now
right,
it's
yeah.
funny. But that was really that was probably
Yeah.
one. I do remember that. Absolutely. And I remember we gave Matt a concussion, me and Todd.
We're laughing at it, but it doesn't sound that
It's
funny.
not funny. It was so scary. We thought he was dead. He was knocked out cold. And Todd was like, "Don't tell anybody." I was
Don't
like,
tell anybody, right?
"Oh my God, okay." And he's like, "Well, go get water." And we just had this plan. And my mom was sitting there and she saw Matt knocked out. And I think you spanked me that night. And I remember going in my room trying to find my little Catholic Bible to stick in my pants.
Make the spanking not quite so bad.
Which you were like, if you put a book in there, you're getting it
Yeah,
worse. I was like, "Oh my God."
yeah, right. I remember one. This is a funny one, really. It's
Wait,
like,
and Matt, that was an accident. Just I want people to know that. I wasn't intentionally
no,
giving my
that was an
brother
accident.
a concussion. We were swinging him on something. So don't think I'm like a psychopath.
No
please.
cycle there. We were little. We lived in our first house, my brother and I, and every day we were supposed to take these one-a-day vitamin pills. That was the favorite brand back in those
yes.
days. And they came in a little jar, and they were very small, tiny red pills, okay? Solid pills with a red coating on them. The point is, though, if you didn't get it down before the red coating wore off, they were the most horrible tasting things in the universe. They were really bad. So, Mama, in her very innocent self, would just hand us the vitamin pills and tell us to take them. so I'm more devious than that, and I wasn't going to take these things. They were horrible tasting.
Yeah.
So I started sticking them underneath the kitchen cabinet. Okay, so sticking them underneath there. I wasn't taking them at all. So one day she eventually got to the cabinet to sweep under it, moved the cabinet out the way, and there's this pile of pills. Okay, so you'd think that the story would end there, but it doesn't.
Oh no.
Mother decided that there was only one way that this pill was going to go down my throat, and that is if she shoved it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad y'all never did that to me.
So I can still envision both hiding the pills and having them shoved down my throat.
See, that's like Mom gave us the Flintstone vitamins. I never took mine.
Oh.
I never took it. I don't know what I did with it.
Note, never took vitamins.
I never took my vitamins. That's probably why I got all these problems. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And then, but I did the same thing like you. Remember?
Right.
We would have dinner at the table, and back then we had a stand, and the microwave was on it, and it was in the corner over there. And we'd all sit at the and Matt would be crying because Matt didn't want to eat the lima beans. I didn't want to eat my food, and I was like, Matt was a rule follower. I was not. And I remember grabbing my lima beans every time, and I would just throw them underneath the thing. And Mom would be sweeping, and she would find it. And I was like, "They're not mine. That's Matt."
I don't know how I got there. I have no idea.
No, but yeah. So I think kids do a lot of funny little things like that.
Right,
Kids are funny, you
Yes,
know.
yeah.
And the interesting thing is you don't really remember the bad stuff. And well, fortunately, nothing terrible happened to me as a small child. I had a good life,
Right.
so I don't really remember anything horrible,
An interesting thing that I found another
Mhm.
book that I haven't read the book, but I read some reviews on the book and read some of the author's writing. And it's a book called Forgetting.
Mhm.
And some of the things that they go into is one of the things is that really small kids do not have as good of ability to forget things as we do as we grow older. So they're just building neuron connections
Yeah.
and they're remembering everything that goes in. And they have a tough time forgetting really young. But then, as we age through childhood and adolescence, we get better at forgetting things.
Yeah.
And the point he makes, one of the strongest points he makes in the book, is that we actually need forgetting. And he goes into it. He says there's actually, they have these these neuron endings called dendrites, and they grow when you acquire a memory, but overnight when you sleep, some of them ungrow, or basically they lose that
Really?
growth if they're not needed, and the spines that this thing creates shrink, and so we forget. And it's a good thing, because what if we had every memory we ever had sticking in our head from
Why would you want to? Yeah.
and there are people who are stuck with that kind of illness where they remember
Yeah.
literally everything, and it's really
Yes.
a difficult time to go through life, doing that.
I feel sorry for those people, but it's like I don't want to remember the bad stuff. If there's any bad stuff, just forget it, throw it out the window, flush it down the toilet, and just remember the good, because
Right.
it just makes your live in the moment. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a choice that you just don't remember a lot of the bad and you remember, I don't know. I just don't remember. I mean, of course, these poor people that something terrible happens. I mean, I'm sure that's
Yeah.
a whole nother ball game. But like I never went through anything crazy. So, one of my other good memories is going to the parades.
Parades.
Remember, I
Yep,
used to
yep.
love Mardi Gras. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And sitting in the ladders and my papa picking me up and basically like hitting the float and getting me a stuffed animal, because I
Holding you up there and
hold it like I was gonna die. But I loved it. I
Yeah,
loved it. I mean,
yeah.
I was small. I was little. And we would go from we go to one parade to the next parade to the next. So Mardi Gras was always like so much fun. I remember that, but I just remember him holding me sometimes. And I remember sitting in the ladder, and that's pretty much it. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
getting a lot of stuff, and that was
Right,
always
right.
fun. But I don't remember going to both of y'all's parents' house. Like, always, that was fun because y'all had so many siblings.
Right,
And, when we went over there, they spoiled us,
right,
and
right.
they were excited to see us.
Those are
And
good memories.
yeah, and they take us places. I know my aunt Marianne would take me to like City Park. We'd go in the what is that stuff? What is that? I forget what it's called, but where they have the oh shoot, Humpty Dumpty
Oh,
and
yeah, they had like
Storyland.
they had a Storyland, and they
Yeah.
had. Oh, I love that too.
Yeah, see, she took
Yeah.
me there, and it was so
Oh, yeah.
fun.
Because my game was, let me see if I can find everything, because some of the things were not obvious, and they were stuck in trees or behind things and stuff like that. And yeah, as I was saying, have I found them all yet? Yeah.
Yeah, and I also remember always staying with my mom's brother, my Uncle Steve, and my Aunt Susan. They would always take me during Thanksgiving, and we'd go shopping and do things. I remember that too. But It was like a lot of family stuff I remembered, some school stuff I remembered. I remember some school stuff. And me and my brother playing and fighting and going to the pool and all that. But it was never anything bad.
Right. No, no. And we know some people do experience some
Yeah, and
things
some
that
people
are
do,
bad.
and that's
Yeah.
so
Right.
sad. And
Yeah.
God bless them for that, with all
Exactly.
that they have to
Right.
remember. But my childhood was pretty good.
So this is fun remembering
It is
these
fun.
memories.
It is.
But is there something else we can do with this? And the obvious thing is that uh, wouldn't we want to share them with our children? Which I'm
Yeah.
doing, sharing
Hmm.
some of these. You probably haven't heard all of the ones
No,
I
I
had.
love I love
Yeah,
hearing it. It's
yeah,
cool.
and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren,
Hmm.
all of whom would enjoy the stories in a timely fashion, of course, because some stories we'd have to wait till they're teenagers or adults to tell them.
That's
We're
true.
getting in trouble, stuff like
Oh,
that.
I got in a lot of trouble. It
Yeah,
was all good until I hit like high school, and then it was like out of control.
right. So there's that,
Hmm.
and so uh, just recently, in trying to do all this remembering, I remembered that one of my grandchildren gave me this book, which is a grandfather's journal. And the idea is that, well, you
Hmm.
write the stuff down
Hmm.
that you've been thinking of and,
Hmm.
and, and coming up with. And of course, there's some structure in a book like this. So you can, you know, d- it's not all free form, just thinking up stuff. You can answer questions like, what neighborhood did I grow up in? Who were my friends when I was a kid? I still remember the names of two teachers and two kids that I went to preschool with, so,
Isn't that
and I never
crazy?
met them after that, we disappeared. But anyway, so this is a good idea. Of
That is
course,
a good idea.
of course, what we've just done here, it's going to be on the YouTube for who knows how many years.
But people will remember stuff like that. And I want to say this other thing about Ma. And I don't know if anybody else's grandma was like this, but every time we saw Ma, she wanted to make sure we went to the bathroom.
Right.
She'd ask if we had a BM, and I was a liar. So I was a career criminal. I was like, yeah, I just did
Oh
that.
yeah, wait a minute.
And my poor brother was so honest, and he would say no, and he would tell the truth. So, like, she was feeding him cream of wheat and all this stuff so he could poo.
Yeah.
I know, isn't that terrible?
Yeah, yeah. Those are some weird memories, but
Mama was the poo, like, police.
yeah, yep. You had to be regular.
You had to
Okay.
be.
You had to do the regular thing,
Isn't
right?
that
Stuff
funny?
like
I mean, it must have been a bad
Right.
thing or something back in the day.
that. I don't know. But so how do we try to remember some of these things? You can just sit down, of course, and do like I did 23 years ago and just try to start making a list. And I just said, what is the earliest that I remembered? And then I tried to go up through other things. And then I said, well, I don't remember the order of these anymore, but now here I started school, there's memories from that and so forth. But I've got we've put a couple of maybe 3 or 4 links in the show notes that you'll be able to see. But there's a whole lot of starters, little things that you can look at and think about, and to jog your memory about childhood memories. And I got like a word cloud here full of a bunch of these. I got these basically from the internet references, so you can remember like, well, what games did you play in the car when you were going on a long trip, and this will bring back some interesting memories and some fun times, I think. Collectibles, my brother and I were stamp collectors when we were, 9 years old and 10 years old and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So there's a ton of them here, and they're
Like
also
staying up late, like that. That was a big thing when you got to stay up late. You see
stayed
that?
up late,
When
absolutely.
we got our dog Cookie and our cat.
Sleepover,
Yeah, Walter.
okay, that kind of stuff.
Sleepovers.
Yep.
I remember the sleepovers, and like when I just read the Dirt, Leaves, and Sticks, that reminds me of going to the Brsavich's house.
Yep.
And they had that, I don't know where were we even playing. I don't know where we were, but they had all this dirt and stuff we used to go play in, and it was like hilly. I don't
Yep.
know. And it was in Kenilworth, so I
Yep.
don't know where we were.
Right. Somewhere.
Somewhere's in Kenilworth.
Right.
Swim lessons. I mean, all that just triggers hide and seek.
Yep.
TV shows, oh gosh, TV shows can kind of like put that to, and certain
Yep.
songs will trigger
Going to back to school shopping to go get notebooks and stuff like that.
bedtime stories, Dipsy Doodle.
Yep.
Dad used to
Dipsy
tell
Doodle, I
it.
used to tell you that story. Sleepovers, the first time you
Yeah,
slept over at somebody's house.
all
Anyway,
that.
this is a great list,
It
and
is.
there's like two of those articles say 70 ideas on how to remember childhood memories.
But it triggers right there.
Right, exactly.
Like my, favorite game, all that, it triggers it. I mean, just
Right.
all neighborhood friend. You never forget your neighborhood friends.
No, and so I just sat down the other day again, and I said, okay, what are some other childhood memories? And I've made a list of another 15 of
Oh
things
my
that,
gosh.
'cause the things I think trying to think of these memories brings you
Joy.
back into that part of the memory, it attaches to something else that you remember. I remember the first barbershop I went to, and stuff
That's so
like that.
cool.
So a lot of little things along that line.
You just
Uh,
don't even know when you're little. You just have it so good.
right, absolutely, yeah. So another purpose of all of this, though, is that there's going to come a day where some of us are not going to remember easily any of these things because we're going to have memory issues. Not maybe just even the normal ones,
Mhm.
but maybe something closer to dementia or Alzheimer's. And so there's a lot of suggestions on trying to take this information and make it available to older parents and grandparents so that you can bring back joyful memories
That's a
to
great
them.
idea.
I remember this was like 2015. We started spending a lot of time with my mama to help take
Mom.
care of her
Mhm.
at home, and she was still, you know, got a lot of stuff on her mind and talking and thinking, and so she'd be rattling on some memory from childhood, and I would be over here on the phone typing down a note,
I
and I
love
put it in the
that.
list, and I found the list the other day, and I
Uh-uh.
have several pages of things she said. I'm not sure they're all accurate memories, but they might
Yeah.
be. But so once our parents get too old to remember,
Uh-huh.
then we either have to help them out or we've lost those memories
And you don't
forever.
want to lose those.
Yeah, so that's another use of this is to help
That's why
out.
that book is so nice.
Yeah, and this it can be for a forever thing as well.
For and that's the best gift, I think. Like getting something like, again, going back to how we had Monitra
Right,
last week.
right,
Those are the kind of gifts that I like to get.
right.
I'd love to get what Mama said,
Yeah, and
and
like I
have
said,
it.
we can't go back and get what my mama said anymore, other than if we've written it down or if we have it in our memories.
Hmm.
And being 76, I don't remember everything that I used to remember. So,
Shoot, I don't remember
yeah,
anything,
if you get
even
it.
at my age.
So, homework exercise. We recommend that each of you find an hour of your time sometime in the next week or maybe this weekend or on Sunday, maybe Sunday afternoon, and just get with a pen and pencil and paper and start making a list. Maybe try to remember all the things that you can remember from your childhood before you started school. That won't be a long list,
No.
there'll be some memories there. And then once you start into school, you'll remember all kinds of things. And I went and started doing this list just because I said, I wonder how many things I remember, and it
They
keeps
just
expanding,
Isn't it crazy? It just
Yeah.
keeps coming. And it also, I think it's good to do it because it brings you joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
It's fun to
it
remember the good stuff.
brings, it's not simply just nostalgia.
Yeah,
It's like warmth
it
and
is.
love and other things, especially, and humor. I mean, you can laugh up a
Oh
storm
my
on all this
gosh, you
stuff.
can. I know some of the
Yeah.
stuff you did when you were little. Good Lord.
So we hope this has been kind of a little fun listening to our crazy stuff from the days gone long past. But we hope it gives you some ideas of maybe going home and making that list. So we're not going to check. You don't have to turn the homework in, but we hope that you take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing to do, especially during the holidays.
Right.
And I do think, like, I want Moss stuff. I want to know
Oh
what.
yeah. Well, we'll give it all to
Too
you.
bad that we don't have ever, like, for all the old people that have gone, what they used to say.
Yeah.
You
And you
know.
see, if I get all my siblings together and we put together all of our lists, I bet you we have a lot of stuff. And Mom was alive during the era of cell phones, so we have some interesting things on the cell phone.
I know.
I think my brother Eddie put one on a little while ago, and Marianne does this too. And brother Eddie put one on where Mama was wishing me happy birthday.
I saw
Now,
that.
Eddie had to remind Mama that it was my birthday, but once she did, she was like into it.
I
and
know.
really,
Ma
and
was
so
so
that's a
sweet.
memory that we have permanently recorded. So we don't have to use just a pencil and paper. We can use um, uh, our cell phones to do that. You don't have to have a
Yeah,
studio to do any of that. You can do it all on the cell phones, and so that would be a great thing.
that is a great thing, and Ma was so sweet. Ma, she was just the best. She really
Absolutely.
was. Good
All right.
lady.
So next week, if things work out and we don't lose our guest, we'll
She's gonna be here.
Good. We'll have an interesting show for you. We're going to
Yeah,
have Miss Jill Miller on, and
yeah.
she's going to be telling us all about the fantastic cookie baking enterprise that takes place in Livonia each year, and it's generational with grandmas and daughters and grandchildren. And we'll bring you that
And
story
great
next week. And great
grandchildren. That's
grandchildren,
right.
right? Exactly. We'll
Mhm.
bring you that story next week.
All right.
So
Thank you.
y'all take care, and we love you.
Bye.
Bye bye.